Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's your boy SoSo, and welcome back to the channel. Now today, I'm at Top Golf Doral, and I got a very special guest with me. Not only is he the PGA professional instructor here, he's also a really good golfer, a guy who's helping me get on my game, and an original OG, if you know, you know, guest of the podcast. I'm here with Coach Alex Sibilly. Alex, thank you so much for joining us here and having us here at your spot, man.
Welcome to my office, I would say. You know what I mean? So this is my everyday office here, so welcome. Happy you guys are able to join me, you know what I mean? Had to stop your whole operation, but
yeah, man.
Definitely a better location, you know what I mean? Outdoors instead of being indoors, as you guys are always hosting. So
yeah, man. And like I said in the intro, bro, like you go way back with me and Joel, right? Like obviously you've known Joel for a real long time, but you were one of our first guests that we've had on the podcast, and we were in that little office in close to Midtown. Remember that, bro?
Yeah. That was what, a year ago or so?
Yeah, so probably like a year and some change, man.
A year goes by, but yeah, you guys have grown. I'm definitely a fan of the podcast and happy for you guys to be here, especially when we're talking golf, you know what I mean? So
yeah, man, and this is, like you said, a great spot to talk about golf. We're at Top Golf Doral, where you're the instructor here. Tell me a little bit about that. What's your regular kind of like flow here and what you do?
Gotcha. So I'm the director of instructions here, so people like in other places where you would, you know, have to promote yourself, Top Golf is a place where I don't really have to go out and get lessons. Lessons usually come to me, which is a huge thing for sure for teaching, you know what I mean? So it's more putting a good product out there that now people are going to return and then call their friends and things like that. So I do all the lessons here. I do all the corporate events, all the birthday parties. And so depending, I usually get those beginner intermediate players, but I do have some very good players as well. So awesome. It's just more of teaching them the basics, learning how to play, learning what the clubs are for.
Right.
And I get a lot of those corporate people that come and have a corporate event. So I just like to teach them from the beginning and then just learning the basic fundamentals. So
I mean, that's one of the great things about your coaching strategy, in my opinion, you know, from a guy who is not that great at golf, right? My handicap has not changed since we started, bro. I mean, it's changed like a stroke or two.
Not what I want to hear, bro. I got you.
No, it definitely changed a stroke or two, but not that drastic. But even still, you make it easy for people who are learning the game to kind of stick with it and come out here, practice with you, and get into a good groove where they're out there on the golf course. They kind of feel like the same rhythm here.
Yeah, so I was actually working at the Biltmore, and then before I came here, so the thing about Top Golf, it's a different environment. It's a fun atmosphere, so it's like I have to take the lesson and take off that stress, take off that like that little anxiety that the player has of like, why isn't the ball going in the air, and just kind of, you know, open up their mind and just make it as fun as possible. Right. So the fun environment of Top Golf, all the music here, we can have drinks, you know what I mean? So you can kind of relax a little bit and then kind of like let me break it down for you so that you can kind of see how I see it, you know what I mean? So
absolutely. I mean, that's a good way to learn this game, right? Because it's a tough game. Like this is a game for life, you know? Exactly. This is not a game where you're like, well, 10 years in, I'm a master at it. No. You know, you're gonna have your good days and your bad days. Yep. But when we're talking about Top Golf and like this amazing setup that they have that makes it so much fun and interactive, hell yeah, man! Why wouldn't anybody want to come out here and get a lesson from a PGA professional instructor like yourself? Yeah.
So, and again, I always get those few lessons where it's like, yeah, I watched a couple YouTube videos and then and I'm here now. You know what I mean? So. Right. Every instructor sees a different thing. Sometimes the other instructor could be working on something that's a little bit more advanced than the player can already see.
Right.
And so I like to take it from step one, you know what I mean? And sometimes my people end up just kind of going into like a Jim McLean golf school, but what I like to just teach is the basics, that anybody can hit the ball as far as you can. It's just learning the right fundamentals. And sometimes YouTube is good, don't get me wrong, but there are certain teachers that teach a different way that sometimes you might not kind of grasp what they're saying. So
exactly, like you're probably alluding to, where people have to learn by touch.
Exactly,
right?
Correct. So I have those players where it's like, and again, in the first 10 minutes, I have to kind of see, are you a visual learner or are you someone who kind of can listen, and then as I instruct you, then you kind of can do it. But it's just like adapt and overcome very easily, but make it fun. And again, everybody wants to kill the ball, but you have to understand that there's a certain science, and then you have to let the club do the work.
Right. That's why they're designed like that, right?
So I always get those baseball players that just want to crush it, and you know
with that weird inside out swing.
Yeah. So it's just, you have to understand that the golf swing is just, you have to let the club do the work.
It's fluid.
You know what I mean? It's fluid, exactly. You got to be smooth, the tempo, you got to be nice and relaxed, but it's the best place as a beginner to kind of introduce yourself into the game.
Yeah, man.
Like, you might catch yourself at a range and, smashing balls after balls, but here at Top Golf, we have the Top Tracer technology, so you can track how far you're hitting the balls.
Which is a plus for a beginner, right?
Huge. And actually, I don't know if you know, but Top Golf actually joined up with Callaway. Callaway bought Top Golf.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
breaking news here. Look at that.
Breaking news, yeah. So Callaway had a little, I think, 10% stake into the company about a couple years ago. They finally bought the company last year.
Awesome.
And September 6th of this year, we actually changed our name, our brand name. It hasn't shown yet on the outside yet because I think they're still going to keep the logo of the Top Golf.
Okay.
But the brand name itself, so Top Golf and Callaway came together, and they came up with the name with Top Golf Callaway brand. So it's not Callaway Golf, it's Top Golf Callaway brand. So
got it.
And that's a huge thing for Top Golf to be in front of Callaway, and knowing that Callaway is such a big company, and now they have Top Golf has them behind them.
Right.
You know what I mean? So as you see, we have some beautiful Callaway clubs that now Top Golf's going to be selling here. And again, that's another cool part of my job now. Now I can sell clubs, and that was never a feature, but you know what I mean? When you get a little bit extra cash that way, you
Absolutely.
know what I mean?
And the product stands on its own, right?
Sure.
Like, I know you use Callaway clubs. I have a Callaway driver, the Rogue, the new one that just came out like a couple of months ago, 6 months ago, I believe. And the stability, the control,
correct,
the type of, like we talked about, the fluid motion, right, of weight distribution that you get with Callaway. It's hard to match.
It's exactly. It's to the point of where it's like, we just have to learn how to turn.
Yeah.
And if we just learn how to turn, the club is going to do the work.
Right.
But sometimes we try to overpower the club. But now these clubs that are being made, it's like, you just got to give me a good solid turn and a good swing, and the club is going to do the rest for us.
Hell yeah. I mean,
that's why these clubs are $700, $800. So again, that's another price point. It's like, the better the club, the easier the club should react and kind of,
No, and the more it's going to help your game, right?
Absolutely.
Like, let's talk about the driver, the Rogue, for example, right? Because you have a Rogue driver as well, like mine. But yours is
Mine's the Triple Diamond LS,
right,
which is more of like that player's club.
Right.
Actually, John Rahm actually plays it. So a couple tour guys play it. And then they have like the Rogue Max.
Right.
They have like the Rogue MD. It's like they have like three different types of
levels.
Rogues.
I think mine's is the Rogue Max. Correct. Or the ST, excuse me.
ST, there you go.
The ST.
It goes ST and then Max, yeah.
Right. So my motto is pretty, for a beginner like myself, right? And I say beginner because I've only been playing the game under 5 years. If you've only been playing the game under 5 years, consider yourself a beginner, all right?
Yeah.
For me, like, I just feel like I get a lot of more forgiveness with that club. A lot more directional power where I don't have to swing hard, and it's going to go the distance that I want it to.
That club is designed as for people who don't have a lot of time to practice, right?
Yeah.
So we come around this time of year where sun goes down at 5, you know what I mean? So you don't have that much time to practice. So they made the club so where it's like, if you don't practice, here's our best option to where it's okay. Swing how you swing. The club is going to do what it's supposed to do, right? So it's just now getting more comfortable, you know what I mean? So,
for sure. And like even the irons are like that, right? Like you and I were chatting it up before we got started, and I was telling you how my father-in-law really likes his Big Berthas because anybody who has played with Big Bertha clubs, you know that those irons are gonna be powerful yet forgiving, and you can get a lot of control from it. So again, for that beginner guy, when you go out there on a Saturday and Sunday to play your round, you're having a lot more fun because out of the 10 shots that you're hitting, you're getting 6 good shots, you know, which was a lot better than the 2 good shots.
Exactly. So it's just weigh out the options. And I always tell players, sometimes I see a beginner with blade clubs and I'm just like, oh my God.
Yeah, you're going the wrong way.
Please don't tell me you're using these clubs, because it's like, if I'm a professional and I'm not using them, you shouldn't be using them, because again, that sweet spot's like a penny size. And again, those are for pros who practice consistently. So it's like, but if you're not somebody who practices and, you know what I mean, it's hard to find the center of the face.
Right.
Let's just give it a forgiving club. Let's have more fun on the course so that we can kind of, enjoy it out there more rather than throwing the clubs and then just being a Debbie Downer, you know what I mean?
So out there with a pout because you can't get anything right.
And it's a Saturday, you're on your day off, and you're mad because you know what I mean, you don't practice. So it's just,
man,
make it easier yourself. Again, bite the bullet. It's going to be a little bit pricier, but at the end of the day, you're paying for, like, you know what I mean, just the enjoyment of the course, you know what I mean? So
I mean, I think that's just a good reason for people to come out here and see people like yourself, right? Where you can come out here, get a good practice, learn a little bit about your game, learn a little bit about your swing, and then say, you know what type of clubs do you think apply better to me? You can kind of guide them in that way and say, listen, I don't want you to spend unnecessary money. This right here can do the job for you and allow you to get where you want to get.
Yeah, and again, and I've been so fortunate to have Callaway jump on board with me, where I have a lot of clubs, and they send us a lot of clubs for me to test out with the player, as in,
so cool.
Do you want a Rogue Max iron? Do you want a Rogue a MB, something a little bit more of a player's club?
Right.
Do you want more of a blade, an Apex Pro? So I have the options now to kind of fit a player into a certain club and be like, hey, look, we hit it 150 yards with the Max. We hit it 130 yards with the Apex Pro. So we can tell that a forgiving club is going to be a little bit better for you,
right?
In the end result. So yeah, and I've been fortunate enough to, again, this place is so awesome because it's like an outdoor glorified range, right?
Yeah,
and again, now I have the technology to back up the numbers with the player's speed and with how far the club goes. And they're actually going to be changing the balls.
So cool.
Yeah, so they're going to be changing.
Even better, to Callaway balls.
Exactly, to Callaway balls, exactly.
Look at that, man.
There's a lot of cool things that are going to be happening here at Topgolf, and I definitely want. I'm here for the ride because it's only going to get better here. I'm
excited, man, because those small little changes that you just mentioned will make a huge impact.
Huge.
You said it. It's almost like the top of the line driving range that anybody can go to, right? It's weatherproof. Correct. It has a good vibe.
Correct.
You can practice at any time because they're open whenever you can come, and it's like just the easiest way to come out here and have a good vibe towards your game. That's been the biggest thing for me, you know, and it's something that you taught me in one of the few lessons that we've had is like, just relax, have a good time, let your hands do the work, like, you know, and just be less tense.
I remember last year we were talking about you coming out for the first lesson.
Yeah, man.
At the studio. So again, I remember our lesson, and I have a lot of lessons, but I remember specifically how tight you're holding it.
Yeah, dude.
And that's the first thing I always go over. Is like, why are we death gripping this club? Why aren't we being a little bit smoother and softer with our hands?
For sure.
And huge change for you. And again, I see you post videos online. I'm like, that's the swing that I'm talking about right there. You know what I mean?
And I hear you in the back of my head, like, exactly. That's it, Steven. That's it. And I'm like, yep, that's it. And then I go out there and I'll mess it up again and then try it all over again.
Yeah, again, you have one shot, so it's like,
I mean, listen, if you've ever played golf before, you know that it's only one shot that brings you back every single time. You could have the worst day out there on the course. It could be raining, but you hit that one drive that goes 300 yards, or you get that, you know, perfect placement on the green from 160 yards out. Like, those are the shots that you're like, yes, this is why I play the game.
Correct. And that's the shot that brings everyone back to be like, all right, how can I do that 10 times in a row? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So at Topgolf here, I sell packages and lessons, and sometimes I'll get a player, and then we'll like the first lesson we'll break down like, hey, look, you need 10 lessons if you want to get to this goal. If you want to break 90 by the end of the year,
this is where you got to get
15 lessons. And again, it's just short game. You got to think about the whole breakdown of golf, right? So we have the driver swing, we have a 3-wood swing, we have a hybrid swing, we got irons from 4-iron all the way to, you know, pitching wedge 9-iron.
And we haven't even touched putting, which is a whole different monster. We haven't even touched
the wedges. We haven't touched the bunker. It's like under the tree, flighted shots, low shots. I know everyone's been under the tree, so it's like, how are we going to hit this ball low, right? So again, it's more ball position, learning exactly the further the ball's back, the lower it's going to go. The more in the middle to the front, the higher it goes. So we just have to learn kind of that. And again, it's so cool to see over a few lessons of how somebody can just go from not hitting the ball to completely hitting up to like 50 yards, 75 yards in the air. So again, Topgolf is cool because they have that 25, 50, 90 range. And again, it's a good way to practice. When you start to warm up, they always go short game, 25, 50, 90, and then you start to warm up to your longer irons. But it's back to the point of fundamentals. Like, we can hit all those fundamentals if we do it the right way.
Right.
So again, no one's an expert, and we're just all here to do it for fun, but it's cool when you get that pop right in the middle of that contact, and you're like, wow, that was easy. You know?
Absolutely. And you get the instant satisfaction here, right?
Yep,
because
yep.
you get to see it on the screen
You get to see it,
immediately.
correct.
You know the distance, you got your apex,
Yep.
all of that, and then you can just combine all of that in your mind and say, yeah, this is the motion that, or the repetition that I gotta keep doing.
Correct.
Yeah, man. You know, we were talking earlier before we got started about shoe game, and I feel like that's something that goes very, very, unnoticed in the game of golf. People like to look fresh on the golf course, obviously, right? You got your nice polos,
Of course.
you got your Lululemon shorts or something, right? But your kicks, everybody's always wearing the Jordans or some Nikes or the Air Max Pros or something. You have an interesting choice, and when you told me what your choice was, I was like, damn, that's something that a real golfer would say. What differences have you seen from wearing like shoes like Nike, Reeboks, and other companies to what you've changed to recently?
Yeah, so I'm a big FootJoy guy, so I like the nice premium leather FootJoys, and I have like a different couple colors. Again, it's another price mark. It's the quality of what you pay for. So again, those shoes are $200-300, and the Jordans are a couple $100 too. But
Right.
for me, it's the stability of when I can kind of put my feet more into the ground. I have more of a traction, I would say, with the FootJoys.
Okay.
I think their spikes are definitely built a little bit differently from like the cosmetics of like something like a Jordan or a Nike or Adidas. I think the era is more comfortability. I think the Jordans and the Nikes, and those are comfortable shoes, but in the long run, I think the FootJoys are a longer kind of substantial shoes that last you. And as a player, I think the FootJoys are more of a player's, like a PGA versus, somebody who's going out for the weekend, kind of like hanging
regular
out. Yeah,
golf.
Exactly.
Well,
so
the reason why I mention is because you said stability, and that's something that people don't really like pay attention to when they're playing golf, right? On a Saturday or Sunday.
Correct.
Like, how stable are your feet? Like, you could do everything right with your arms, but if you're slipping or maybe you don't have that traction.
Correct. So now think about the Saturday morning dew, where it's like from 7 a.m. to 9, it's a little bit wet, and then if we have those Nikes on, those Nike Roches with no traction, that's my thing. Is I'm trying to create power from the ground up, and I'm trying to really hit the ball as far as I can, but doing it to where I'm not trying to muscle it. And so when my feet are slipping all over the place, I can feel that. I've actually hurt myself one time actually trying to swing it so hard because my foot kind of slipped out of the way.
Look at that.
So then that's when I kind of jumped into like the FootJoy shoes a little bit more, because I'm more of like, I like companies that make certain shoes. And again, Nike and Adidas, they make so many different things.
Right.
And they make good shoes, don't get me wrong, but I think as a golf standpoint, I'm a huge fan of the FootJoys. I think they make fantastic shoes, and they're very like that premium leather, like that old school look. You know what I mean? That's just like that now.
That classic look.
Classic, exactly. Like Adam Scott.
Man.
Adam Scott he wears some, I think it was like $800 FootJoy shoes, and they are
beautiful shoes.
I know.
And like I said, the main reason behind it is getting that traction. Because a lot of people who are beginners, they try to generate that power using their arms, not knowing that it really comes from your legs, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So like for me, I'm always conscious. Like when I started playing, I was like, I'll go out there in whatever shoes, doesn't matter, sliding all over the place. Then when I
you came across that issue where it's like, have you?
Oh
yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, come on.
Yeah, that's when I switched, and that's when I got the actual golf shoes. And I was like, they're not the prettiest, they're not the coolest, but they're firm and they give me that good grip that I'm looking for. I immediately saw a change in my game from how I was able to swing a lot lighter. Yep. Right, because I'm stable and in the ground.
More, correct. And I think, and again, more with the soft spikes and hard spikes. For my preference, I think you want more of those hard spikes to where your feet are really dug into that ground versus the soft spikes where, again, you can test it a little bit more. Like you can feel your feet aren't pivoting into the ground as hard as like some hard, you know what I mean?
Correct. And you brought up a good point. Most of the times that you go out there and play, grass is going to be wet.
Correct.
Whether you go early in the morning or if you're out there at 10 o'clock, it still might be wet in certain areas. So you're not going to always have the best conditions for traction. So that's something to look forward to, guys, or look out for. If you need new foot game, check out FootJoy. Coach Alex recommends it.
Definitely. If you want to look classy there.
Yeah. Now, to bring it back to Top Golf a little bit, I love your program with the kids, bro. You have an excellent youth program here where you have the summer program for the kids to come and learn golf and have that day camp, but you also teach a lot of kids the essentials of golf and just the the idea of being calm while playing a sport, you know, I think a lot of kids can benefit from that. What do you get the most out of that? Because I see you in your videos and it looks like you're having a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, again, it's more of golf can go, and again, the sport itself, it can teach you a lot, as in, you know what I mean, being proper, being on time, dressing nice, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The etiquette of golf, respecting each other, and like not cheating. So for me, it's more of instilling these good benefits that the game brings into these kids' life, as
Absolutely.
in now it's changing to where they can bring those forever, you know what I mean, as long as the game can go on. So this is the game where we can play till we're 80, 90 years old. So always instills those good things into a child. So for me, it's seeing the enjoyment sometimes, like as getting a beginner who holding the club completely wrong and then switching into how they should, and then him just hitting it one shot and be like, whoa, wow, that was pretty cool. And then progressively seeing them as they come week to week, seeing going from red to yellow to green. It's like at the end of our sessions after that 8 weeks, it's like, Coach, I'm almost hitting it to 150 and I was just hitting at 25. So
that's so crazy.
And now for them to be able to teach their brother, their sister, their mom, their, you know what I mean? And
right.
And then it creates a good sportsmanship as well. As
Absolutely.
So, and it's not a team sport. It's just you and the club, basically. So how are we going to get this ball in the hole? How are we going to think a little bit more differently to being more positive, and then getting just a better like rhythm through the shot as well? So for me, I think personally, I fell in love of what I do, and I love what I do. But at the same time, I think it's all about the kids. I think if we invest into the kids, that's the future, right?
For sure.
I think that's the biggest thing for me is
instilling those values, like you said, man. And they're very, very important values, right? Because like you said, it's something that they can carry with them into other sports and just generally in their life, you know. Something you mentioned which really caught my attention was the mental fortitude. You know, it's hard to get kids to focus, but this is a game that forces you to focus, right? Because you have to pay attention to each shot as it comes.
Correct.
Right? You can't plan ahead. You can't say, well, so-and-so is going to help me or do something like that, right?
Hold off on the plan ahead, because again, we always want to, as we're sitting at the tee box looking at the hole, we kind of want to do plan ahead, as in tee shot, bam, bam. But again, from where you're going is more of like, let's take the negative out. Let's say we're at the tee box and like, oh my God, there's water there. 90% of that time, that ball is going to go and find that water, because again, we brought it into the whole existence. Exactly.
We talked about it.
That water's not there. I don't see that water. You see that water? So it's like, let's get away from the negative and think about more of the positive. You know what I mean? So that's how we can kind of see better shots happen, because again, we can believe in ourselves. And again, that's also instilling another good thing is confidence. I think the whole 2020 year with COVID, I think it brought back some of the kids' confidence, not being able to go to school. So getting sidetracked. My wife is a therapist, so she always talks about, like, you know, having kids that have more confidence. Kid who has confidence is going to go longer, you know, be more successful rather than someone who doesn't have confidence. You know what I mean? So I always try to, hey, that's a good shot, but you know what I mean? Like, try to exactly. So, and again, I see kids get mad, throw the club, and it's like, hey, it's okay. Everyone's been there. And exactly what you said in the beginning is, you have your good days, you have your bad days, but our bad days can't be full of negative thoughts. You know what I mean? Our bad days are going to be bad swings, but with a positive, knowing that tomorrow's going to be a better day. Tomorrow's going to be a lot different from what today was.
Correct. So, and you know, even the pros have issues with containing that, right? Because they get frustrated themselves. It's a tough game, right? And those guys are professionals, guys who can shoot the lights out, probably play a 9-hole course blindfolded in some places, right? So,
and it's crazy because I did a reading like last year or so, but more sports psychology is kind of getting more thrown into it and into the golf, because again, golf is very stressful. You're over an 8-foot putt for $1 million. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's a lot of stress.
And not only that, the difference between missing that and coming 6 places lower is $300,000, $500,000 difference.
And this past weekend, Patrick Cantley, 72nd hole.
Yeah, man.
You know, 3-shot lead, and then he ends up blowing it and, you know, giving it up that whole entire tournament on the last hole. So again, he's got to be thinking something a little bit more mental. And I'll take it back to the guy Mito Piera on the 18th hole. He had it a couple tournaments ago. Again, sometimes it's the nerves too. Right. You know what I mean? So it's not just the mental, it's just how you feel as well. All these pros can hit it the same, hit it as far, but it comes down to that pressure point of those nerves and that mental game really have to be at the top tier, at that level. You know what I mean? So
I think that's something that, like you said, being able to deal with that as a professional or an amateur, as an adult, comes from learning those things as a kid, right?
Yeah.
And really practicing those values, practicing those good sportsmanship, really taking a hold of whatever is being taught to you by the person who's taking the time out. And again, that's why I feel like you do such a great job here at Topgolf Doral with the kids and the youth program, because we've seen a lot of your kids go out there and have success.
Yeah, definitely. We got some really good kids. So I have a little junior program with Belen. I have an after-school program. I got about 65 kids or so in that little program. I have another program with True North, which is another private school. And I actually just got another one with Kingdom Academy, which is another.
Coach Sim killing it.
Yeah, man. So I got, again, that's what that's why I came here, is because from the venue that I have and how much bays that I have, it's like, how do we not get the kids in here? How do we not get them kind of prepared for the future? And some kids are taking it better than other kids, and you know what I mean. Don't get me wrong, is some kids are doing football, baseball,
soccer.
Exactly. So golf is in high school. Golf starts from September till about November, so it's a very short season. But now is, I think, in the beginning of the school year, when the kids are like full of anxiety and they're so nervous and
stressed out,
things like that. I think golf is such a great game because, again, it's like a punching bag. That ball is like a punching bag where you're taking your stress out. They might not see it like that, but how I see it is they're relieving stress. They're kind of doing something to kind of to take the mind off of other things that may be going on at home or things like that. So,
and this is a great place, right? Because it's kind of built to attract that, to kind of let a kid or let an adult, right, kind of let go of the issues and just focus on having a good time.
Exactly. So I think what I'm doing here with the kids program, kind of just bring as many schools as I can, bring as many coaches as I can, and it's just instilling these good benefits into these good values into these kids that will benefit for such a long time.
For sure. And
you know
look,
what I mean? So,
and I just think it creates a different lane that kids like you and I really didn't become aware of unless somebody that was an adult brought us into the game of golf, right? Where it's like, hey, you know what? I can get a scholarship playing golf.
Exactly.
I can get to a college. I can get to a D2 school and kind of go explore the country, right? Play overseas. A bunch of things that this game could open up that is not the traditional football, basketball, baseball approach. You know, we see soccer blowing up. We see golf blowing up. And I tell Joel this all the time. South Florida is such a great atmosphere because we have so many talent,
year round.
So many athletes, right? Like, it's crazy, the talent down here. And I'm sure we'll have some PGA professionals coming down the pipeline.
Absolutely.
Probably from one of your youth programs.
Hopefully, yeah. Definitely got a couple kids, actually. So I got an 8th grader that's on the varsity team.
Awesome.
Right
Look
now.
at that.
Another kid who's on the 8th grade team, and now he's in 9th grade, but again, these guys are shooting low 73, low 74. So again, in high school, so that's
wild.
And again, some of these kids started young. Some of these kids started when they're 5 or 6. And sometimes the best age to start a kid is the younger. The younger, the better, because they start to kind of see the club doing the work versus, them trying to kill it every time. So as they get older, they start getting better. Their mental starts getting better. They're playing tournaments. People are watching them. The nerves aren't as much as they used to be. So
because it's still fun.
Exactly. So it's just more of like, if the kid starts young, I think it sets up his whole life, like learning a sport and knowing that it's a lifelong sport that you're never going to be perfect at it.
Never.
Nobody's perfect at golf. Every pro is working on something in their swing. You know what I mean? So it's just. Again, so think about it like this, how I take it's more of like a family bonding moment. It's like dad and son, mom and son. I get a lot of group lessons where it's like just a family because that's the only thing that they want to do together. And so when they go on vacation, they play together. So there's so many things that you can do with golf. And again, I never saw myself teaching and being a PGA professional and teaching in this sport. And so how it opened my eyes in so many different ways, it's incredible, honestly.
I mean, I'm glad you're here, bro, because, I mean, not only has it helped me personally, but like I said, I feel like what you're doing is helping the community at large, and we need more people like you doing that type of stuff, man, for the youth, because obviously it benefits them and it benefits us.
Absolutely.
I don't know, man, like, I kind of feel like you're getting back into that rhythm, or you're going to be on the course a lot more. I know you recently had your baby daughter.
Yeah,
she's doing great.
Daughter. Yeah, so I'm even finding a tough time to head to the course myself. But I have some tournaments lined up. I actually played in one not too long ago. It was like a qualifier, like a Florida Open qualifier.
I was in North Florida, right? Like
No, it was in just Fort Lauderdale.
Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah, I was at Lago Mar. I shot 74.
Okay, how'd you feel that day?
It was good. I mean, I don't. Again, it's
because you're not playing as much as you were before.
So tournament golf and then regular Saturdays with the boys is completely different.
For
you know
sure.
What I mean? So the nerves are there. You know what I mean? So it's just more of feeling comfortable and then getting a good mental strategy, as in like, what am I going to do at this hole? How am I going to hit it at this hole? And then figuring out what my ball is doing that day. You know what I mean? So every day is different. So you have to kind of adjust as well, as in I'm going to pull back on the driver. I'll hit a little bit more 3-wood, things like that. So you do have to strategize a little bit when you're at that level, because every shot, exactly, every shot counts. You know what I mean? So
that's great, man. I'm excited to see you.
I appreciate it.
Get out there in those tourneys, man.
I got a couple lined up. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna go at it this year a little bit more. 2023, I'm definitely gonna have a lot more lined up. You know what I mean? So
and by then, like, Callaway's gonna be full in strike here, like in stride here with Top Golf. We're gonna be hitting these beautiful Callaway clubs in a minute. I mean, not me. I suck at this. We're gonna get some video of Alex killing it, and maybe give Joel a lesson or two while he's here.
Yeah, Joel's due for a lesson. Let's just say
he's due, man. He's due. And you know what? Like, I gotta shout out Joel, bro, because he works hard behind the scenes.
He does. Full-time job, does all this setup.
All this stuff, man. And he still finds time to work on his game, bro. And he's the guy who keeps me, you know, just in that rhythm of like, yo, we're not going to be good at this game. Go out there, have fun, and kill it, you know?
Yeah, I would say Joel's that player where, like, most of his friends kind of, like, follow him as into, like, whatever sport he does, because he makes it so much fun, makes it competitive. Again, the older you get, right, we're not getting younger, so it's like you might as well start now, create a little camaraderie, create some competition between you and the boys, and you know what I mean? And
absolutely,
what he does with that whole Shankaholics League, where it's like 30
Shout
something
out to
guys.
Frank and them boys, man.
For sure, man. It's like, that's the coolest thing, is that create a league with your boys, 10, 12, 15, 5, it doesn't matter the number. It's just go out there, meet up once a month, you know,
have a good time,
track each other's scores, put a little money on the line, you know what I mean? Have a good time at the same time, and just have fun with it, you know what I mean? So
I mean, it's what brings adult men together. Right. Golf, man. Golf, alcohol.
That's the last thing we have.
You know?
We're going, you know what I mean?
That's it. Especially once you get to our stage, right, where you're married and then you're starting to have kids or getting ready to have kids. It's like you're on that level where it's like, I need a little bit of boys' time, and golf is it. Golf is it.
And even girls' time too. I have a lot of like girls that come. I have like 4 or 5 girls that they brought some of their other girls on.
Awesome.
Now they have 8 girls and they're all playing together. That's the coolest thing to see, especially as a coach. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
As growing the game and being able to grow the game with beginners. Right? We're not growing the game with professionals and people who are at a different level, but it's growing the game from someone who doesn't even know what they're doing, but they're going to their course. They're out there. They're having a great time. Exactly. So
it's crazy. You know, it does bring so many people together, bro. And like I said, for a person like myself that played a lot of other sports, right, growing up, it was like, damn, I kind of wish somebody was like, yo, you want to play golf?
Correct.
Like, yeah, bro, I'll go out there.
I picked it up late. I picked it up after high school, so I'm super late. I wish I would have started as a younger kid.
Bro. You're still a badass, all right? Because when I asked you what this guy's crazy. When I asked you what your handicap is, you told me what?
Oh, it's floating around a 1.
And this is from a guy who hadn't played consistently in a long time. So take that for as
you do have your bad rounds. Don't get me wrong. Like, first time I played after a month, I shot 84. You know what I mean? But it was a wake-up call, as in like,
oh shit,
whoa, coach, what are you doing right now? And then I went and played again, 78, and then a 76, and then 72. But it's to the point of, I had fun out there, but I had to figure out exactly what my swing was doing that day. But I put a lot of work into my swing. I probably took a year and a half. I didn't have a job, practice every day. You know what I mean? So I put the time in. So now think about it like this: as you can put a year and a half in, but you're doing it every Saturday. So it's like
it doesn't correlate
exactly. And again, in 20 years, 10 years, then you'll get to where I'm at. But if you don't do it every day, if you don't, it's like any sport, anything you do now, it's a routine. It's to the point of muscle memory.
So let me ask you this, Alex. For your regular, Saturday weekend golfer, how much time should they be putting in on a weekly basis? So let's say break 100.
To break 100, I would say we need to practice 2 to 3 times a week. Again, that's
range
just not,
or in your
exactly.
house.
So again, I'll break it down. So you can go to the range for an hour and a half or so. We can go chip for a good 30 minutes or so, and then we can go putt. You give me those 3 breakdowns of Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday, and then you play on Saturday, or even 2 days of short game. You'll do short game with like bunkers and putting, and then you can go iron and drivers. Break it up to where you're kind of splitting your game up a little bit, and the same day you're not working on everything. And then you overload and you're overwhelmed, and then you start to create a new swing because it's like you're so overwhelmed. But at the same time, we just got to learn how to obviously practice and properly practice the right way. So we got to use all the clubs, right? We got to learn how to utilize every single club in your bag, and we got to learn how to change the swing in different areas and different scenarios. So when you go to the range, like, you know what I mean, hit a driver, and then next shot hit an iron, as in like if you're at the course, rather than smashing 800, 7 irons.
Right.
But at some point, you do need to get better with learning how to practice so that you can get better at the course.
Yeah.
And again, that would definitely correlate,
I think that's great advice for somebody who's an amateur or a beginner, because they'll usually do what you said, right? They'll show up to the golf course and say, well, I got 2 hours here to kill.
Correct.
And they're going to hit 2 buckets of large balls, and just smash.
Exactly.
And not really work on the game.
Correct.
And then not see it happen on Saturday or Sunday.
Correct. So what I always ask, even for a beginner, is like, hey, what are you working on, right? So it's like, that's my first topic that even if I see somebody at Topgolf or even a beginner, it's like, hey, do you know what you're doing? Or if I get someone who knows what they're doing, it's like, hey, so what are we working on right here? So I have an idea.
Right.
So then I question them. It's like, all right, what am I working on? Or am I just here just to kind of smash balls? And again,
it's 60% of the time, those guys are there to smash balls.
Yeah, I would say 90% of the time here at Topgolf, everyone's ready to just hit the back of the net, but it's just breaking down the whole swing. Again, it's just understanding it from a bigger point of view,
For sure. I feel like that's very helpful, because I've noticed that in my game, right? Like, my short game is not good, but it's gotten a lot better where I can get myself on the green in certain situations no matter where I'm at, right? Like, whether I'm in the bunker, I'm in the rough, I'm in the fairway, I feel comfortable with my short game. But that's only because I've practiced my short game a bunch of times,
So,
more than my driver, more than my putting. I do that because I feel like that's what gives me the best chance to get as close to the pin, and then once I get there, I'm okay.
Good. Yeah. So actually, for the Honda Classic this past year, I caddied for Bo Hostler.
Nice.
So he gave me a little breakdown of it, like what his routine is. So let's say on a Tuesday, he'll go to the range for about 6 hours.
Wow. Dedication, people.
Exactly. Again, it's a full-time job for them
Yeah,
when they're not playing, so they got to make sure that those irons are dialed in. But from a different perspective as a pro, he'll hit that 7 iron for 4 hours.
Wow.
Take a break, go putt, come back and finish it off again for another 2-hour session. But again, he's hitting a draw, he's hitting a fade, he's hitting a low shot, he's hitting a high shot.
Stingers.
These guys know how to move the ball in each direction, so they break it down as in like a square, and then there's 8 boxes, and then you have to try and hit each box with a different flight. So learning how to do it, with one club. So versus someone who's a beginner who has a club who's smashing, right? So it's just more of that point of view of the pros always are working on something.
True.
The beginners always on working something. But I always tell people, you have to work on something.
Yeah.
Like, you got to, again, I know time is valuable to people, and again, I know family and things in life gets involved, but if you want to see some success in golf, you got to hit the range a couple of times during the week.
Right.
Just commit, grab some music, grab your AirPods, you know what I mean? Go out there, understand the swing a little bit more. But as that coach, you're starting to see a lot more Instagrams. You're starting to see a lot more YouTubes, which is cool to see. And then again,
that just means the game is growing, right?
Exactly, and then that's how I see it. Even if it's wrong information or not, you know what I mean? There's no correct Bible on how to teach golf.
True.
But there are certain fundamentals that you have to give the player to kind of have more success at it.
For sure, and more enjoyment, right?
Yeah,
because
exactly.
like if you're not gonna practice, right, and you're gonna go out there anyways twice a month, once a month, then yeah, go out there and just have a good time. Forget about your score, buy your 1,000 golf balls at Costco, and don't worry about losing them, and just
Correct.
you know what I mean. Go out there, have fun, kill your 4 hours, no issues, right?
Correct.
But if you do want to see some type of improvement, you're gonna need to practice. And if you don't have, in my opinion, maybe you can kind of back me up on this, but like if you don't have time during the week, maybe skip a month of golf and go spend 3 hours on the course practicing at the driving range.
I would definitely back you up on that, because what you're doing is you're just creating a bad routine, or I should say a bad habit. And once you start to create more bad habits, and then you come get a lesson with me, it's like, hey, we're not only fixing your swing, but we're fixing that bad habit you created because you didn't know what you were doing in the beginning. So it's always good to grab a beginner, because I teach them as the beginning swing versus them going out there with their boys and then they have a crazy bad habit. Now we're taking 2 to 3 lessons just to break that bad habit before we even get into the golf swing, right?
Right, to get it hit flush and stuff like that. Yeah,
so I know a couple guys that are sitting at this table that may have done that, but we won't mention any names.
We're not going to mention any names, Joel.
But it's just more of that. And again, once you kind of get that basics, man, you can really start to see it again. For you, as in someone,
huge difference.
First to second lesson, it was a huge gap, as in you were you let the club do the work, and you had a better understanding of how it was happening. You know what I mean?
For sure. So, and like you said, it implements that thought of letting the club do the work.
Correct.
You know, letting the club do the work, because, you know, again, for any beginner, your idea, or most of a regular person's idea of golf ball, is smash the little ball, right, to make it go far. Incorrect. The smoother you hit it, the better it's gonna get out there. You know, so backswing, backspin, forward spin, all types of, like, draws, fades, all those things.
Correct.
All that stuff comes from having a good core, having a good stable footwork, and letting your legs drive it. You know, letting your arms do just the follow through, and being smooth, fluid. A lot easier said than done.
Yeah, a lot easier is, again, it's the club path, it's the face angle.
All of that, man.
It's more to it than just us kind of swinging. But as you're more relaxed, you can kind of hit those certain points. But if you're tight, you're not going to be able to hit those points because you're just too tense.
For sure, man.
Yeah.
That's dope, man. Bro, thank you so much for your time.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely.
This has been amazing. But before I let you go, right, I do got to ask you one little personal thing. Myself, lately I've noticed that the club face is opening just like right either at the point of impact or right before the impact. So I'm getting good swings, right? I'm getting good distance, good contact, but my ball's going to the right. My ball's going to the left way too much.
Yeah, so sounds like we got a lot of club face issues, as in you could be opening the club too much on the downswing, and what you're doing sometimes is that as you open the club, you're not closing the club, as in once you hit the ball, it's still a little bit more open. And as you hit it, we have to kind of shut the face a little bit.
Shut the face.
So then now you're saying you're hitting it to the left now. So that means you might be shutting the face too fast, right?
Right.
So not shutting the face is going to have the ball go to the right. Shutting the face is going to have it go to the left a little bit. So then we kind of rewind that swing a little bit. It could be your grip. You could be holding a little bit too tight.
That's what I thought, right?
Or it could be you on the downswing. I'm getting a little technical here, but
tempo, right?
It could be the tempo, and it could be the shoulders. As you're getting into impact, your shoulders are kind of like opening up versus kind of like staying down, and then not letting the arms go through. Sounds like something I'll have to see on video versus kind of me like saying a couple of things, but
no, but I can already picture it in my mind.
Yeah, exactly. So
look at this guy.
Come check me out, though. I got you.
Yeah, for sure, man. Like my man said, come check him out. Coach Alex, he's here at Top Golf Doral. He's the PGA instructor here, and he's going to be able to help you with your game, whether you're a beginner, a guy who's been playing for 10 years, a guy who's been playing your whole life and still want to get some pointers. My man Alex is going to lead you the right direction. Alex, thank you so much again, brother, for doing this, man.
Absolutely.
Can't wait to get this footage of you hitting these beautiful bombs. I wish you guys would have seen it. We're not going to show you my swing or Joel's swing. You guys don't want to see that.
I got lucky.
Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in yet again to the channel. Make sure you guys are subscribed, hitting that like button, drop a comment, and shout out my man Coach Alex here at Top Golf. And until next time, peace.
That pump move that you always been doing. You go here and you just get a little bit more. When you do that, your game goes longer. So nice, they're not that heavy too. No, they're really good. And drop from there. Don't fall back. Okay, you just pump back. Just pump back again. That little pump is now getting the club to go up, and then you're trying to bring it back down. Like it's literally going lateral. Like so, if I'm here and if I go pump, you're pulling up, and so very sorry. After you're doing so right, you're here, and when you're going like this, and then you're going down.
A little extra movement.
I don't know why that extra little pitch.
Again, that's just more of like what.
Hey, fluid,
Right there, exactly right there. Like that, bro? Like, bro, you just make it swing on camera. That swing.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is why you come see Coach Shave at Top Golf. Hit him up.
I thought,
Let's go. You guys